Hello, everyone. I am so glad you tuned in today to another series called Ask Jewel. And I'm so excited that I have a sister friend that I met years ago when I spoke at a retreat in New York, and we have reconnected and bonded. And she's an amazing sister friend. She has her hands in so many things in the community. And her name is Sage Chioma. And Sage, I want to welcome you to ask me a question as a life coach. Is there something on your mind that if you could get some direction, some guidance, some insight, what would that be?
Yes, first I'd like to say thank you because I've been studying and following you for years. I'm so thankful for your consistency and how you've progressed
Ah,
for all these years. So the question has to do with I do a lot of work that is about service to others,
mm-hmm.
and I pay my bills. Of course, I could use more money, but I pay my bills doing community health education, giving classes to people who are youth or safety in medication safety and all these different things. And I feel sometimes like I'm not really utilizing the gifts and my creativity because I'm so focused on this is how you pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I give my power away. I even question myself. Have you squandered,
Mm.
wasted the gifts that God has given you by doing just what's expected? Or just what, quote unquote, because of your age, because of this, or because of that?
I think that's a good question, and I can relate to it. And I could go in so many different directions, but this is what just came up for me. I've been sharing a lot recently in my webinar called the University, and I'm distinguishing between happiness and satisfaction. And I think that a lot of us are searching for happiness in a job, in a relationship, with our car, what we wear. We want happiness on the job. But satisfaction is something that is soul deep, that when we do it, when we express it, when we give it, when we show up, there's something in our spirit that says, that's what I was born to do. You're tapping into something that comes natural and is organic. And I'm sensing, Sage, that you're starting to feel this void. You're feeling you're lacking satisfaction in your daily life. Does that make sense?
I have moments
Yeah.
when I'm satisfied. It's always about transmitting or disseminating information to other people. I do get satisfied doing that, but
Yeah.
I know that I could do it in ways that really bring me joy. And it's more creative ways than just the day to day.
Right. And so when you say creative, define for me what creative looks like for you. What does that mean?
I just wrote a poem the other day about it. And one of the lines in the poem is a poem about freedom.
Okay.
And one of the lines in the poem is about how much joy I feel when I'm dancing.
Okay.
So one of the lines is about me gyrating and rolling my hips and sweating, and how spectators might say, what a shame for a woman her age to dance in public as if no one is watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so things that bring me joy, I think in my mind, I've been told, well, you'll never pay your bills that way, or you're too old to achieve that. Because I write poetry, I love writing, but it's like I put it on the back burner because I got to do this and I got to do that. And I get distracted. Like, I'm impressed by how many books you wrote. How do you do that? It's like, I mean, I have a poetry book that I published. I'll be a part of an author's event.
Uh-huh.
But I think that is my authentic self. And if I could show that part of myself in my day to day life, then there will be satisfaction.
So let's go down a list. Could it be a time management issue? Could
Yeah.
it be a imposter syndrome issue? I don't feel worthy. Could it be that maybe there's a voice saying, who do you think you are? I remember when I first started this journey, I don't even know who said it to me, but I always heard this voice saying, who do you think you are? And for some reason, it was always a subconscious desire to prove that I am somebody. I don't remember where it came from, but somehow it got in my subconscious mind. And I was always struggling with feeling worthy of what I do. And it took me some time to really step into my worthiness and confidence. I would ask you, are you searching for the outlet of creativity to make money or for expression? I would ask you, are you looking for a new profession? I would ask you, do you have boundaries with the people that have needs from you? I would ask you, do you know how to say no? I would ask you, what is your planning skills? I would ask you to start journaling every time you have that moment of joy or satisfaction. Write it down, capture it, so you can go back and review it and say, yeah, that's what it is. Because what I'm sensing also, Sage, is maybe you have a lot of creativity bubbling inside of you and you may not know where you want to start. Did
All
any of
of the above.
all of the above? Okay.
Especially when
So
you
this
said
is
time management,
okay.
imposter syndrome, feeling worthy. And I think I'm just now beginning to gain some confidence.
Okay. Now,
Um,
there's a difference between confidence
mhm.
and competence. When I realized that I
Mm.
felt solid, that I'm competent, I know what I'm doing, I've studied, I have prepared, I am passionate, I've crossed my T's and dotted my I's, I've sacrificed, so that when the moment comes for me to step into my power, my competence allows me to feel confident. Does that make sense?
That's my takeaway because the Bible says, study to show yourself
Uh-huh.
worthy of approved, to be approved. Right. And that's
Right.
the same thing you just said. I do have to put the time into my writing because I want to perform my work. And it's really like it's like a dirty secret. It's
It
like
is.
I'm not telling nobody.
Oh, I like
And
that the way you put it.
because you know why? I moved to a different state and it's been 20 years, but I did a few plays here. I did this, I did that. I got a poetry book published, but there's a work that I really want to do and share. But I just my whole day is made up of have tos. I have to do
Yeah.
this, I have to
And
do this, I
so,
have to do
so
this.
you know what's happening is that Sage, the creative side of Sage, is getting the leftovers.
Mm,
And
you're gonna
so
make me
some
cry. You're gonna make me cry.
yeah. So I mean, you wear the hat of this amazing dynamic community, advocate. You're dependable, you're reliable, you know what you're doing, you could do your work blindfolded. Okay. But you're coming to a point in your life where you're saying, I don't want my living to be in vain.
Mm.
You're coming to a season where you're saying, is this all there is? Just chasing the dollar, watching the clock. And I think it's very good that you're self reflective, that you're saying, this is not lining up with my soul. This is not, something's not right. And so that awareness and that curiosity and questioning and asking for support from a life coach to help you to see what you're not seeing can be very potent and can be very critical in you saying yes to yourself and stop eating the crumbs from the day, to the point was like, you know what? I don't even have the energy. I'm tired. I've been saying yes to everybody. I would also ask you, do you find it difficult to say no to people? Are you a yes person? Do you say yes to everybody because you're afraid of letting people down? Or is it part of your job requirement? Or
I've
is it,
gotten better. I've gotten better. I've gotten better, but I know that my no muscle needs some work because there are times people don't even ask and I'll
and you
jump.
just jump to it? Come on now. I know. So you see, sometimes we are attracting a lot of projects because people know we'll say yes, because they know we'll do it with excellence. And so now you're coming to the point where you're saying, wait a minute, I've got to know when to say no. And guess what? You can say no without even saying no. I did a class once on giving people examples on how to um, say no. This is not in my schedule. This is not in my budget. Thanks for asking, but I've got other plans. Because I think sometimes as women, we don't want to let people down. We don't want to disappoint people. We want to shine. But Sage, we're living in a time, and I have to watch this for myself. We're living in a time of social media, and the imposter syndrome can pop up his ugly head and say, "Oh my God, look what they're doing! Look what she's doing! Look what they're doing!" And so that feeds into our sense of low self-esteem. Like, oh, what's the point? I'm not as good as that person. Not realizing that a lot of things that we see online are manufactured. And even if they're not manufactured, they did their due diligence. That's their path. You have to find yours and stay on it and give yourself permission to shine. Um, a lot of us that are more mature women, we may not have our parents around. We may not have a spouse or a best friend, someone to help validate us. We have to know how to validate ourselves. And also, Sage, you know that I have an amazing tribe called Women on the Grow. And when you are surrounded around people that are healthy and positive and they're not toxic and it's a safe environment, it helps to nurture you. We need social contact. And I think a lot of times leaders like yourself and me, sometimes we're isolated and we need feedback. We need a push. We need encouragement. And if you're just sitting there by yourself, that little voice that says, you can't do it, it's too late, you're too old, your time is past, oh, you're going to make a mistake. That voice becomes so loud because there's nobody feeding into the voice that says, you can do it. I believe in you. I trust you. How can I help you? Girl, you're amazing.
I have that now, but you know what it took? And I think that I'm not alone in this. I had people in my life who could support who I used to be. But
Okay.
as I continue to grow and continue to work on my personal and spiritual development,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm getting people who say, you need a team. What you need, and I mean, they're church people who said, no, what you have needs to be nurtured because you have many gifts. And
Yes.
it took a period of grieving that, oh, my friends are falling away. Oh, they're not.
Yeah.
But so opening up to new possibilities means new people too, allowing
Exactly.
that to happen as well. So I thank you for that. That that right there is a big piece. And I don't want to be addicted to my story anymore about losing my parents so early,
Yeah.
who I inherited these gifts from, but they didn't live long enough to nurture them in me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sorrowful. I mean, and that sorrowful piece, I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And
And you,
and the people I surrounded myself with were the people who validated that story.
I got you.
You
So
know what I'm talking about. So,
exactly. And when we all have our old selves that we outgrow, and
yeah.
we're like, you know what? It's like if I look in my closet, I see some clothes. It's like, what was I thinking when I was wearing that? That's or I'll say, you know what? That corporate look is not me anymore. And it's hard to let it go because I invested so much in it. And my identity was so linked into what I wore that to realize that is not me anymore.
Well, I appreciate this because I just got my takeaway, competence and confidence.
Okay.
And I went to the gym today because that's a place I can dance and do Zumba. And I didn't want to go. But once I get there, the joy is just waiting for me. Right. And
That
then my other takeaway is what you just said, because it's like the part of me I'm grieving
mm-hmm,
and trying to hold on to is the
mm-hmm.
story of my woundedness.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the part of me that I really want to embrace and bring into my everyday life,
Ooh,
and what people think, is the me before all that stuff happened to me.
that's right. Give yourself permission to shine. Give yourself permission to grow up. Give yourself permission to make
You gonna
mistakes.
make me cry. You gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been out of school so long, And when people say, "Are you coming to the class reunion?" I'm like, "Why? I'm not that person anymore. I've got
Mhm.
a whole new tribe of people in my life. I'm a
Right.
different person. In fact, I'm the opposite of what I was in school. I was very introverted. I was very quiet. I'm outgoing. I'm curious. I'm a student of life. I'm a dancer. I'm a poet. I'm an author. I'm a coach. I'm a wife. I'm a grandmother. I'm an auntie. I'm this. I'm that." And it's like slowly allowing myself to bloom. And
Mhm.
I love using the metaphors about the flowers and the trees because we're called women on the grow. But I heard someone say the other day, when a tree, when a leaf falls off a tree, do you think the tree bends over to pick up the leaf? It lets it go. And we're trying to hold on to every leaf. It's like it's falling off. It's like we shed skin. And then because of our desire for attachment and belonging and what's familiar, because the brain wants what's familiar. And so doing something different and exploring can be a little intimidating to your spirit. So you have to have a talk with yourself and say, we can do this. You have to become your own cheerleader until you begin to attract the type of people that celebrate who you are and who you are becoming. I often refer to Michelle Obama's book. And when I first saw her book, I was like, how did she come up with the title Becoming? It just struck me like that. What is that? And I realized we're always becoming, we're always shedding, we're always growing, we're always evolving. And probably, Sage, you are realizing that you were not growing, you were feeling stuck, you were hiding, you were settling or compromising, and your soul cried out, no, 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 we're in here, we're in here.
And as a poet, that metaphor, about the leaf, that's my takeaway too. I will always remember that because
Yes.
that's very powerful. A plant doesn't bend down to pick up the leaf.
It doesn't be, isn't that a beautiful visualization? It's
Yes.
like it's like duh. And then we're trying to get all the old leaves, the old friends, the old places we used to go, the old thing. It's like, no, you've grown, you've evolved, you've matured, and new people will show up in your life,
Hmm.
and they will cultivate and they will see you and they will celebrate your gifts, because when I think about, Sage, how people talk a lot about the imposter syndrome, it makes me think of actors. When an
Hmm.
actor goes in to do a movie or a drama, they have to act like somebody they're not. They have to act like the person they're trying to what? Become. And some of them will tell you that they practice so well and they study so well and they almost embody the character that when the movie is over, it's hard to shake it off because they
Hmm.
studied so well to allow that spirit,
To
that
embody
soul,
it, to
that
embody it.
character. Yeah. So they're not an imposter. They're acting. So when I in my earlier years when I was speaking, yeah, I was acting like, yeah, what? I was practicing until I got better and got better and got better. But if I were to go back and say, Joel, you were stuttering and oh my God, Joel, you didn't do this, that would be so cruel. The thing is, I stuck with it, and I want you to do
Mhm.
the same thing. Allow yourself to grow. Step into those acting shoes. And I would ask you as I close, who do you want people, what do you want people to say about you? Visualize a bridge that you're on one end of the bridge. You're like, okay, this is where I am. But where I want to be is on the other side of that bridge. And as I cross that bridge, I would like to have people like Jewel or others to help me cross that bridge because if I don't, I'll stay on the wrong side of the bridge. I want to get over to be that person or to have that experience, but it is a process to cross the bridge. And I may backstep, I may feel frozen, I may stop, but I gotta keep going till I cross that bridge. And what is it that you want people to say about the person that is evolving? And you put on that character and you act like that character until it is, you are that person. See, I am the person I said I wanted to be in the 80s. I am. So when people say to me, oh, Jewel, you stuck with it. Oh, Jewel, you really helped me. I'm like, Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear years ago. That's what I wanted to hear, that I made a difference. I wanted to hear that something was said or something I wrote shifted their lives, caused them to believe in themselves, caused them to have hope. I wanted to be able to say that I could create experiences, or what people call events. I don't do events, I create experiences. And I was doing that in my home before there was social media. I was already just trying different things. I wasn't an imposter. I was acting, I was practicing a role that I wanted to fully step into, Sage. So I don't want you to keep using that phrase imposter. You're not an imposter.
No, I don't use that phrase actually. It's funny because I don't use the phrase, but I think I acted out. Somebody said to me just the other day, they said, "You gave me advice. It changed my life." And said, "And I am going to take your advice again." And so I registered for something. And I said, I guess I should be a life coach. I never want to use that word, even though I counsel people, I do retreats, but there's just certain ways in which I won't market or step into it fully. And I think you've spoken to that before with me. You said you're just not standing in it. So,
Yeah.
so I definitely will take away from this that allow yourself to become who you were meant to be in the first place, and you don't have to hold on to the old story of what happened to you, because that is where I got stuck. You said I felt stuck. I got stuck in that being my identity. I earned a living
Yes.
because of the story. I had
Yeah.
all my friends because of the story.
Right.
And now I'm no longer addicted to that story. And it's like, well,
You're in a new chapter. You're in a new
yes,
season.
a new season.
And a new season, a new chapter. And all of those people and all of those experiences helped you to be who you are now. So
Absolutely.
there's no regrets. It's just the chapter closed, you know? And so it's like if you go to a drama, you mean you live right there in New York. So, New York is known
No,
for.
I don't live in New York anymore. You
Oh,
know that.
that's where I met you. So I always think
Yeah,
you live.
we met. Yes,
Where do you live?
I live in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm coming to South Carolina in September.
Well, I got to find out if you're going to do a public
Yeah,
engagement, because
yeah,
that's close enough for me to go.
yeah. Well, the point that I was trying to make is that uh, plays, amazing plays on the East Coast, they're
Yes.
known for that. But you know what happens? They have a part one, and then the curtain closes, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the curtain opens back up, the stage has changed,
Act two. Mm-hmm.
and so we can't close the curtain. It's okay to close the curtain. It's
Yes.
okay. It's okay to change the furniture and the atmosphere, because now there's a new scene.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for participating in what I call my Ask Jewel. I could talk to you a long time, and we must have a longer version of this coaching session, but I pray that something was said that really will inspire you and give you some courage and some confidence to know that you are in the right place, and you're giving yourself a permission slip to play. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Sage. I love you and I appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you. Stay in the light, as you
Stay.
always say.
That's right.
I appreciate you. Bye-bye.